What's up? What's up? What's up, London? What's up? Let me set my timer so I don't go over. Go. Thank you for coming. Like he said, my name is Fonz Morris. I'm a design lead at Netflix. I focus on monetization, which is acquisition and retention, making sure we bring value to all of you all every day so you stay on the platform. Entrepreneur, back and forth between corporate America. And I think that's what really introduced me into just the value of monetization. Because what does monetization mean? Value. You're not going to pay for something that you don't find value in, right? So that's why I really have spent the last 5-10 years of my career really focusing on how do I help businesses increase monetization. But before we get started, quick quiz. How many hours of content was watched on Netflix in 2023? Just take a guess. Take a guess. A, 183 billion hours. That's about 22 million years of content in 1 year that you all consumed. 2, Netflix and chill is the real ice cream flavor. True or false? True, yeah, that's the easy one. I always throw that one out there. And number 3, how old is Netflix? 30, 27, 21, or 25? B, 27. So you know we started years ago as a DVD rental service, and then we grew into streaming, and now I'll talk about some other advancements that we've done. But it's been really interesting to see the company evolve over the years, and it's because of the focus on business design, which is what I want to talk about today. So what is business design? From my personal definition, it's the intersection of business and design. It's where design is no longer at the end of the process or down the stream. They're brought all the way up to the front, where now we're more strategic partners with our business team, and we work closely understanding the goals of the business as opposed to just being like what I would say is pixel pushers. So business design is not business development though, where business development is focused on growing revenue, so are we, but it's also focused on forming partnerships, where I would say business design is more focused on solving problems creatively and strategically. So I spend a lot of my time in strategy meetings, really trying to figure out how do we have more empathy for you all, how do we stay connected with you all to understand what's important for you, and then using that information to come up with the best experiences for you all and constantly bring you value. So here's a graphic I think that kind of shows visually what business design is. It sits in this right, beautiful space in between business strategy, between design thinking and innovation. But at the core, it is so focused on user-centric experiences and really understanding our users. That's what a lot of people probably don't think Netflix spends that much time focusing on our users, but every decision that we make comes back to making sure that you all are happy and that we're bringing value to you all. And that's why I love working in the business design space, because it allows me to focus on business, but still be creative, but still be innovative. And I think as a designer at heart, innovation is so much fun to be able to try to figure out what's the next big thing, what's the next big idea that could possibly help us grow as a company. So here's some basic pillars that I feel are really important for business design. Like I said earlier, customer-centric approach, always knowing what's up with your users. The integration of design and business, where we're now more partners as opposed to being, hey, design this for me, make this look pretty. I think the cross-functional collaboration is a part that is super critical, where we're not huge org, but we have so many stakeholders that it's impossible for one team to just make a decision for something. So you're gonna have a ton of stakeholders, you're gonna have a ton of cross-functional partners, and that's how we actually come up with these big ideas. I work so closely with the data science team, with the engineering team, with the globalization team, content design, and it's kind of like a puzzle. So we have all these different pieces, and you put us together, and that's how we continuously make this like amazing experience on Netflix. And then another last piece that is super important is the prototyping and validation. So not to get too technical, but before something rolls out to you all and you actually use it on your TV or your phone, we have prototyped and tested this and shared and experimented and researched. So we're so confident in what we roll out because we're very brand focused and we do not want to ever roll out something that you all may not like. We're one of those type of brands where it's easy for us to like negatively start trending online. So we're very cautious about what we want to roll out to our public because we care about our users. So we spend a lot of time prototyping things, making sure it's as close to perfect as it can be before we roll it out. And then even before we roll it out, we still want to validate it one more time. So if you think about it, we're so focused on users building the best experiences, going through the motions of testing and researching to build these, and then making sure that it's as close to perfect before it gets to you all. So here's a quick example of what a business design lifecycle looks like, which is very similar to the design thinking lifecycle, if you know about that, where the first step is always empathizing. We always need to make sure we are understanding what's important for our users, and we are centered with bringing value to you all. After that understanding happens, we move into the define stage, where now we're really digging in, trying to understand, okay, how are we going, what is this problem? How do you solve this problem? What's the best way to solve this problem? And then the next stage is the ideation phase, where now we're coming up with all these ideas and should we do this? Can we do this? Have we tried this? What about that? And after that comes what I said, which is the prototype phase, where we're now taking these ideas and we're making them as real as we can. And I think that's one of the parts that's so fun is some of the prototypes that we build, if I put it all in you all's hands, you would think that this is live on Netflix because we want to mimic the experience so that there's no hiccups, there's no confusion. And then one of the most important parts is the testing. And that's one of our major philosophies is we have to experiment and we have to test everything that we do. So we're doing small tests, we're doing huge tests, we're doing global tests, we're doing local tests, because we always want to get this data in so we feel like, okay guys, this is the best decision we've made. We're confident in it. We have the data to prove it. We're all happy internally. And then after the testing phase, if we don't like the results we get back, you see the arrow goes back to define, and we go back to the same process again. So it's about iteration, always keeping our users in mind and trying to figure out how do we build the best product for you all. So now I want to jump into how Netflix uses business design, right? So we have about 1 billion total devices certified with our NRDP. And what is NRDP? That's the Netflix Ready Device Platform. That's what you're actually using when you open up Netflix. So when you open on your TV and you see the end load, when you're on your phone, when you're on your PlayStation, when you're on the web, they're all running on this one software kit. And that software kit is so important because that's what allows you to have the same experience all across the world, all across devices. And when you think about it, that is super important because you don't want somebody who's on an older Android device to feel like they're having a lesser experience than somebody that may be on an 85-inch new Samsung TV. We want to have like a par experience for everyone, and the NRDP platform is what allows us to do that. We're in 190 countries, which is what's so exciting for me as a design lead is it allows us to always have to be as inclusive as possible with our decisions and be as diverse in our suggestions as well, because these countries are nothing alike, no matter how close they may be geographically. A quick example is I did a test where I felt like Australia and New Zealand would give me very similar results. Just, they seem close, they seem like there's a lot of similarities, and to be honest with you, it was like day and night. They had no similarities, and I think those type of experiences what allow us to know that we need to be building unique, as close to unique experiences for every country and every user on the platform. So the 190 countries is one of the stats that I'm really, really proud of. The content. So we offer our content in 62 different languages. And now why is that important? Because if we're going to continually to grow internationally, we need to make sure that we're providing content in ways that our users can enjoy it. So therefore, we have English content, we have Spanish, we have South Korean content, which is really big for us now. We want to grow on the continent of Africa, so there's a whole new genre of African content that we're producing, and it all can be in whatever language that user wants to watch it in. And that's so important when you think of us saying user-centric design, because if we only made it for one market, you're probably not going to be able to grow in other markets. Another interesting one is 37 languages is how many we support on the platform. So when you think we give you 62 languages of content, but then when you're actually using Netflix, you can set the language to whatever works for you. Do you want to use English? You want to use Spanish? You want to use French? And when you think about it, you have to take these things into consideration, because how are people going to use a platform if they can't read, if they can't understand what's going on? So you may not think about things like this, but language is so critical for communication. That's why we spend so much time making sure that the platform works all across the world. We have content that's available internationally, as well as we support as many languages. So all of this comes down to like user-centric design at the end of the day. I'm going to use this word probably 5 more times during this session, is user-centric, because we are always focused on bringing value to you all. There's so much competition out there nowadays that if we don't continuously provide the best value, there's many other places that you can go and watch. When you think of in 2007, there was maybe 5 to 6 streaming platforms, where now in 2024, there's hundreds. And there's niche ones where you can focus on sports, you can focus on movies, you can focus on whatever you want to see. So we are aware of the competition, but we don't spend our time tracking them. But we know that it's a very sensitive space, and if we don't continue to give you value, you will go somewhere else. So how do we continuously bring value? One of the most important things is our user experience. We always want to make sure that it's very easy for you to use Netflix. One of the sayings that we say is 8 to 80, where I have a 9-year-old daughter that can use it. My dad is in his late 60s, he can use it. And that's important, because if a user can't use your platform, they're not gonna stay. But we always wanna make sure that we understand why people come to Netflix, which is to enjoy content. We wanna make it easy to find. That's why if you see, it's not too confusing to use this platform. And when you think of the different roles that we offer for you, those are all custom roles that are for you specifically based off of your usage of the platform, so we know what you've been watching. So we want to always be able to make discovery easy on the platform. Once again, this is an example of what I was saying, how you can set your profile to whatever language works for you, all under the same account. So you could have one account that has one profile in English, one profile in German, one profile in Romanian, whatever you need to be able to enjoy the platform, because these are the small things that will keep somebody on the platform, as well as inclusive design is so important, and so is accessibility. We always want to make sure that everybody can use the platform equally. Live shows. So this is a new venture for us, because remember, like I said, it's all about value. So we understand that Netflix has done a great job in streaming, right? But what's the future though? If we don't always think about the future, then we can potentially become the past. So live content is one of the areas that we jumped into about a year ago, and the first live content that we had was not the first, but the first comedy show that we had was with Chris Rock. And it was groundbreaking for us because we had about 20 million concurrent viewers, and that's fantastic when you think about it. 20 million people watching at the same time. But then when you think of last week, we had the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, where we had 63 million concurrent viewers watching. So people want to see live content. We don't want to become a cable company. That's not our goal, but our goal is, how do we keep bringing more value to you all? We have games, which some of you might know, you might not know. We have about 90 plus iOS and Android games. Some people wonder why we got into the gaming space. That's because that's one of the biggest industries out right now. And also, when you think of the exclusive IP, the intellectual property that Netflix has that we can turn into games, at the end of the day, the goal is to keep you on the platform as long as we can. So if you're a Stranger Things fan and you binge watched all of Stranger Things and you're about to leave the platform and we say, hey, you want to play the Stranger Things game? That may actually convince you to stay on, as well as when you think of games as a way for us to bring in younger users that one day we want to keep them until they're adults. So the gaming space is so exciting for us. We're also about to launch games on television where you'll be able to use your phone as like a secondary device, where your phone will become a remote almost. So it's like the future of Well, the future of Netflix is live TV. It's also games and then ads as well. So the ads tier is exciting, not even because of the amount of users, it's the fact that we knew that Netflix is very expensive for some users in certain parts of the world. So therefore, what the ads tier does, it allows us to have Netflix at a cheaper, more affordable price that now allows us to onboard all of these users that before just could not afford the platform, as well as it allows us to have another revenue stream. But at the end of the day, we have the Netflix principles and we never want to compromise your experience. So if you have the ads tier, you'll see we're really trying our best to quality ads, not interrupt your experience, and show you ads that are relevant to you, as well as making sure that they stand up to the Netflix standards. So we would never show something that somebody may feel offensive, because making money is never more important than the value that we're bringing to our users. So in this last couple of minutes, I want to walk through a case study to really give you insight into how we solve certain problems at Netflix. And this page is called the non-member homepage, right? And this is on television. This page worked for us for over 12 years. It helped us bring in over 100 million users, right? But being on the monetization team, what we realized is that this page, even though it was doing its job, it wasn't doing its full job. There was tons of people coming here that for some reason, they wasn't clicking that blue button. Even though this page is so simple, it has what we call the VLV in the back, which is the breadth of content, so you can see your shows, easy tagline, 2 buttons, so it's not confusing, but what it wasn't doing is it wasn't answering all the questions that people were having. So people were still wondering, do you have ads or not? How much is Netflix? Do you have something for me to watch? Is it a contract? And these were all big enough questions that we weren't answering, that people were like, well, I'm not comfortable signing up. And we also didn't feel that you should have to call Netflix to get those answers either. So even though this page was successful, my team realized we need to try to improve this. Now, how do you improve a page that is this important? TV is our biggest platform. We get over 500 million visits to our TV platform a month. So we needed to really make sure that we got this right. So how do you solve a problem that's like this important? Through innovation, to be honest with you. You have to be innovative. And this is the process of how we got through it. We asked ourselves, what should we be showing our non-members? What information is interesting to them? And then the next question is like, well, now that we know what questions y'all have, how do we actually tell you this story? And we find out the correct way through UX research. So what we did was we created 5 different versions of this video, all that touched on different themes of Netflix, and we took that to UX research. We didn't ask you all what you liked or what you didn't like. What we did want to know was which of these actually resonated with you. And it was such good feedback, we realized that some people felt like some of these were kind of creepy, some of them felt like this just didn't resonate with me, and then we started to see signals in some of them that we knew maybe this is the direction that we would want to follow. And we ended up going with option B. And this is an example of it right here, which is a new video that replaced the static page that you saw before, where now what this video does is it answers all the questions that the users were having. As far as what kind of content do you have for me? Can I watch this in different places? Do you have kids? We didn't put price in here, but we did talk about ads. And at the end of the day, this video was so successful for us. It ended up creating an extra 2.5% of the visitors that were coming to the platform. And when you think of a company like Netflix, if you have hundreds of millions of visitors, and now you're converting 2.5% more, that ends up being millions and millions of dollars. And that's exactly what we wanted as a monetization team. But the other piece I want to focus on for you all, just to get technical one more time before I go, is that video is so scalable. Every piece of text you saw can be translated into those 37 languages I told you, as well as every piece of content in the back is dynamically loaded based off where you're watching this video from. So you don't see the same thumbnails no matter where you are. Right now, if you open this up here, and when I went back home, I would see different thumbnails, as well as the titles on the thumbnails are also translated, which helps us be able to make sure that we can deliver the most unique experience and inclusive experience to all of our users. So this is live now, and the funny thing is, even though I love this, we're already thinking about replacing this. This has been on the platform for about 3 years, but remember, like I said, if you're not in the future, you'll be in the past. So eventually, this video will not be up there. We'll have something that we went through the same process of learning what's important to our users and making sure that we continuously answer the questions for people and continue to bring value. So lastly, real quick, embrace design thinking across teams. Try it, trust me, I know design in it may throw you off a little, but it's an amazing process. Build a culture of research and experimentation. Don't be afraid to talk to your users, and don't be afraid to test things, because that's how you learn. Measure design impact with business metrics. Like if you're in the design space and you want to get buy-in from leadership, start speaking the language that matters to them, not just the design language. Champion user-centric decision making, so you're always focused on your users. And then lastly, use design as a strategic asset, not just as your pixel pusher partners, but as your strategic partners. And I think that's it. Thank you for joining. If you want to talk more about design or business design or Netflix or sneakers or whatever, let me know. Yeah, thank you. So I think I made it. I tried.